Thank you. Okay. Our next item is to approve the personnel matters for November the 11th, 2024, to include appointments, substitute appointments, and coaching stipends as presented. I will open the floor for that motion.
Motion to approve the personnel matters for November 11th, 2024, including appointments, substitute appointments, and coaching stipends.
We have a motion. We need a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Our next agenda item is to approve the consent agenda, which includes the school board meeting minutes dated October the 14th, 2024, claims for operating expenses, food services, CIP, supplemental appropriation expenses, and the expenditure report. I'll open the floor for that motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda, including school board meeting minutes, operating expenses, food services, CIP, supplemental appropriation expenses, and the expenditure report.
We have a motion. We need a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. All right. Now we get into the fun stuff. Ms. Graham, Employee of the Month.
Yes, so first up, we have Ms. Wilson coming from the middle school to present this month's Employee of the Month.
Good evening.
Happy Veterans Day to anyone in the crowd or listening online. If I could have Miss Terry Weaver please come join me. So walk to the front. Miss Terry, if you just want to stand here beside me while I dote on you a moment. We are thrilled to announce Terry Weaver as our Employee of the Month. Terry exemplifies the highest standards of dedication, commitment, and excellence in her role. Her work ethic is second to none. She approaches every task with relentless determination and an infectious enthusiasm that motivates those around her. Terry's meticulous bookkeeping skills are truly unmatched. Her attention to detail ensures that everything is accounted for, allowing our operations to run smoothly and efficiently. Beyond her organizational talents, Terry has a remarkable gift of nurturing our school community. Her home-cooked meals have a way of filling our bellies and warming our hearts, bringing everyone together and creating a sense of family here at school. What sets Terry apart is her selflessness. She consistently puts the needs of the school before her own, going above and beyond to ensure everything operates seamlessly. Coordinating substitutes and scheduling coverage for her colleagues is no easy task, yet Terry handles it with grace and an unwavering commitment to her teammates. Her creative flair shines brightly in the front office, where her decorating skills transform the space into a bright and joyful environment. Terry's hard work and creativity make a tangible difference, turning an everyday workplace into a welcoming haven. Despite her long hours and the extra effort she puts in, and I do mean extra hours, Terry remains humble and focused on the well-being of others. Her ability to anticipate needs and stay ahead of challenges is truly commendable, making her an invaluable asset to our team. Congratulations, Terry. You're a diamond, and we are incredibly grateful for everything you do. Thank you for your hard work, your kindness, and your unwavering dedication to our school community. We're so lucky to have you. Congratulations. I'm going to give you a copy of this, too. And now it's picture time, so we will turn around and take a picture.
Congratulations. All right. Go ahead. Anna.
Next up, we have Miss Taylor coming to present our Senior of the Month. As she's coming up, we'll just remind everyone that the Senior of the Month program recognizes one senior each month for their academics, extracurricular activities, and their service to others. They'll be invited back at the end of the school year to a banquet where we'll honor the seniors once again, but then they get to invite a teacher or coach that's had an impact on their lives, and they'll recognize that person that night. So it's a special event, and that'll happen in May.
It is with great honor to announce Elena Payne as our Madison County High School Senior of the Month. If you would come forward and join me, please. As a dedicated senior and co-drum major of the band, and I must say, if you have not seen her perform, you need to. She is amazing. Her leadership and initiative shine through in everything that she undertakes. During the preparations for our homecoming celebration, her commitment truly shone. She has a unique vision to integrate the band's on-field competition decorations with our Alice in Wonderland theme. Recognizing the need for more help, she herself took the initiative to reach out, calling in reinforcements from fellow band members. Her efforts transformed her vision into a vibrant reality, enriching our entire school spirit. Her dedication is truly commendable. She went the extra mile by staying after the homecoming dance to help clean up long after her peers had left. Her unwavering commitment to teamwork and community service showcases her as a true Madison County Mountaineer. She embodies the spirit, resilience, and hard work we value at our school, making her an exemplary role model for her classmates and peers. Once again, congratulations to this well-deserved recognition. You rock as our Senior of the Month. Let me give you this. That one is yours. And then you gotta turn around and take pictures too. I'd like to take this time to thank Alana's parents and her family because she is a great example of a shining student that we love to have. Thank you for allowing us to have her every single day.
Congratulations. Okay, Miss Graham, Madison Garden Club Poetry Contest winners.
Yes.
Okay, good evening.
Good
I'm-
evening.
I'm Heidi Sage, and this is Heather Schoenborn, president of the Madison Garden Club, which is now in its 90th, that's 90th year.
Wow.
We're excited about that. I would like now to see if we might have Adelaide Mueller and Wyatt Stone please come forward. Yes, you can be right there. Wonderful. And here's Wyatt. As I just you get more. I'll explain what all this is so everyone knows what you're getting. But I think we need pictures.
Yep, he wants pictures, so you have to come out in front,
Okay.
right in the middle.
Do we all fit?
There we go.
Show them your certificate. Please do that. Thank you so much. Don't go away, guys. Stay here. Okay. You have to listen to me read all this. Okay. Is Katie Gelati here tonight? No. Okay. I have a certificate for Katie. She has been assisting the Madison Garden Club in contests for a number of years, not just this poetry contest, but also the Smokey Bear Woodsy Owl poster contest. Garden clubs love kids. Okay, these two young people have excelled in writing poems for the National Garden Club Poetry Contest. Last year, the theme was, I spy with my little eye something green outside, celebrating our green world. The students from Waverly Owl have traditionally done well in competition, and this past year was particularly amazing. Wyatt and Adelaide each placed first in grades 4 and 5 as judged by the Madison Garden Club, then went on to win the Shenandoah District, and from there, the entire state of Virginia, and beyond that, the South Atlantic region, which is 5 states, Virginia, West Virginia, North and South Carolina, and Kentucky. So we're just delighted. We have just handed them certificates from the National Garden Clubs, and also they are receiving, and I have extra copies for the schools, a copy of their anthology of the poems that was published on the national website, so they can have that for their own personal library at home, maybe for their parents, and then for the 2 school libraries. The poems are relatively short. Would you guys like to read them? Sure, okay. It's on the back of your certificate. Okay.
Oh, great. You came
Okay.
prepared.
The Great Green World. All the green makes me want to sing about the beautiful world. Lush and green and pure beauty, all the beautiful green.
Thank you, Adelaide. Nicely done.
Green Day. The trees are turning green, the thorns are looking mean. The river is now clean, wildlife taking the whole scene, celebrating green.
Congratulations. These are for you. I'm going to shake your hand if you can free your hand up. There we go. Thank you so much. Well done.
Great job. You guys did fabulous, wonderful job. I'm so proud.
Congratulations.
My phone, your phone, my phone.
Thank you to the Madison Garden Club as well.
We're delighted. Thank
Thanks so much.
Okay. FFA, come on up. Yeah, just, there you go.
Okay, so as we promised, we'd come back with a presentation on what we learned
Thank
while we
you.
were at National Convention. Oh, you can go to the next slide. How does this work? Okay, skip. Okay, day 1 of convention, after the long car ride, we got to go eat food and then go to sleep and wake up for an exciting day. We went to go explore the expo, which was huge. There were so many different things. We also got to tour the Speedway, which we learned a lot there, and we all asked plenty of questions. And we met new people, too. We searched for all 50 states. We, played a little game to see who can find all the states. And collectively, I think we found almost all 50 states, including Puerto Rico. We didn't get the Virgin Islands, though. And then we did our service project. So we knitted these little pothole, for when the pots are hot. And a pot holder. It was a very long process, but we got them done. And we earned little pins for it, which they have in their jackets or on lanyards. Okay, you can go to the next one. Okay. Day 2 was opening session. Opening session, we've experienced all the sessions at states, so we didn't know what to expect at nationals, and it was that was there were so many people, and it just kept flooding and flooding, and it was like, whoa. Once everybody was seated and you turned around, and it was like, that's crazy. We got introduced to all the officers, the national officers, which was cool, and we learned about each role and how our roles can apply to what we do as a chapter here. We listened to the keynote speaker. It was interesting. It was really funny. We went around to student workshops, which here we met a whole bunch of people. Maddie went to a vet workshop, and me, Josh, Clarence, and Sadie all went to a workshop on how to memorize somebody's name. We went to the expo again, which we learned a lot there too. And then we watched the prepared public speakers because I love public speaking and I want to learn to get better. So we went and we watched. That was interesting. We watched 2 of the 4 finalists, and the way they presented themselves, I think we all learned something, just how to present ourselves when talking. We got to watch the rodeo, which was pretty cool. Bunch of bull riders, bronc riders. Okay, next. Okay. My favorite parts and the things I learned the most while we were at National Convention was hearing other students' stories. Just being able to walk around and getting to talk to people was super cool. And like when we would ask to take a picture with the back of somebody's jacket, we'd learn a story from them and where they're from and how they got introduced into FFA and all these different things, which I liked being able to collaborate with all ages. So I got to learn from people older than me and a bunch of middle schoolers too, which was super cool. And it just, the connections that were built, it's so welcoming. Like when we join a sports team or a club, it takes a while to get used to those people and to learn who they are. But when we were walking around the expo, it just acts for everybody. You could fit in and you found somebody that had the same interest as you, and it was so easy to talk to everybody. And then the Remembering Names workshop. I have a horrible memory. So, and we had no idea what workshop it was when we walked in because they were filling up so quickly that we kind of just squeezed our way into one. And me and Sadie sat down and we had realized what this workshop was. And just being able to memorize somebody's name, like the impact you leave on somebody is huge. Just being able to walk in the hallway and be like, oh, hey, and then so-and-so, or oh, hey, how are you doing, so-and-so? And like just knowing somebody's name, it broadens your perspective of who people are. Maddie.
So I got to meet, I took pictures with 47 different states. And
Wow.
I only missed 3. I missed Delaware, Hawaii, and the Virgin Islands was the only ones we didn't get. And I thought that was super cool, and being able to like meet people from like Alaska, like they're so far away. Like that is so awesome. I don't know. And then like Puerto Rico especially was really super cool. Just like they're out in Puerto Rico. Like it's just wild. And then the Speedway, I don't know, that like really stuck to me because like I've grown up like around racing and stuff, and my dad, he's a huge fan of NASCAR, so being able to go to the Indianapolis Speedway was awesome for me, and I thought it was just like super cool. And we got to go on the finish line and where that was, and Bella kissed it. and there was the two Corvettes and the Camaros, and I'm a huge Chevy fan. So, and so is my dad. So we got to see those, and I thought that was really cool. And then the U.S. Army Veterinary Workshop, that was like awesome because, like there was this dog. He was in Afghanistan, and he had lost his leg, but they did like all this work on him. They spent over 4,000 hours on this dog to help him get rehabilitated, and he was able to run around and stuff after it.
Nice.
And him and his owner had gone through a bomb right close to him, and I think the owner lost his arm, and then the dog lost his leg. But it stuck to me. That part stuck to me really cool. It was pretty cool.
Thank you for sharing.
Next slide. So some of my favorite parts from the expo were collecting all the pins going around everywhere. It was just so fun to just like explore everywhere and just like see what kind of pins you can get. And at the expo, like talking to all the companies and colleges was just, it was so much fun. And all the great people we met, like I met this guy named Bo. He was just real fun. Then I did the same workshop as Isabella, the ones on remembering people's names, which I also have a horrible memory, so that one definitely helped a little bit. And then the rodeo was my first ever rodeo, so that was really, really fun to experience.
Nice.
Next slide.
All right, so I'll talk for Clarence. He said he couldn't be here tonight. His big thing was when we went go-karting as a team, and also said, don't ask Mr. Berry if he won. Of course, I did win. But anyways, he really enjoyed that. He really enjoyed the expo. I think for him, it was more along the lines of, you can't really talk to, 80 universities or 80 different job opportunities all in the same place. And so he was able to get out and, you get a free hat from this place just by talking to him, and you go over here and you get a free banner over here, another free hat over here, and just kind of gave him the opportunity to actually go out and reach these people that he would have never met before, and like only dream of talking to, the big universities, your Virginia Techs, Ohio States, everything like that, in the ag world. And so I think he really enjoyed that. And then we went and looked at the Indy 500 trophy, which they said was however many millions of dollars. Yeah, they said you can look at it, but please don't touch it. And so his eyes, were like this big. And they also got to sit in a race car. So he was really, really glad to be there. As for Lindsay and myself, there at the expo, it's not just students, of course. It's advisors, admin, and also school board members from around the whole world. And so you kind of see those things, but instead of us just walking around with each other, we kind of just went out on our own, and like you meet people, especially like the expo is not just for the students, it's also for us. And so we got to go out, and we're actually doing a fundraiser now on one that she went out and like tried like the sauces and everything like that. And so we're actually have a fundraiser out now, and it's taking off. And so all those different things, talking with different teachers, different admin, kind of getting their ideas and bringing them back here is really a big thing for us. We took them to the Speedway, and so like everything in the Speedway has to do with agriculture, whether it's welding the bleachers, whether it's the track. So anything that has to do with ag was just there, and you get to see the building and how the rotunda and everything was built and then tore down and then built and then burned down and then built back again was really big. I know our students really enjoyed themselves being outside of the classroom, learning with their hands, and everything like that was just a big time for them, and I think they just really enjoyed it overall. And it made us be really hopeful for the next generation of leaders, not just in agriculture, but in the world too. There's a lot, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's a lot of leaders in the world that were in FFA, or even sports figures that were also in FFA as well. So, I mean, people that you probably don't know were in FFA, actually were wearing the blue jacket at one point.
And I think like my favorite part was, I don't know about y'all, but here we have agriculture all around us, but some places don't, and it's become like a dying breed lately. So to see that this year there was 1 million people involved in FFA, and then to see, and especially for them to see 70,000 people, like that doesn't sound, it sounds like a lot, but to actually see 70,000 kids in front of you, all supporting ag, all wanting to further their careers in some way, I mean, that touched me. And I think like Isabella even said when we were on the way home, like, that was a lot of people. And it's just like, it makes us hopeful that the next generation is going to keep agriculture here and it's not going to die off, because it's the only way we're going to survive. So I think that was like our biggest takeaway for the teachers and for the kids.
Next slide. Is there a next one?
Yeah.
Oh. This is the service project that we did. At first, we were kind of like, what are we doing? Because I got there and I was like, we're going to do this. And so I called everybody and sat everybody down. And at first, like, they didn't really tell us exactly what to do. They were just like, here, figure it out. And then we asked a few questions and we've kind of figured it out. And so what Izzy was talking about earlier is we made pot holders for Meals on Wheels. It's one of the days of service project there, and basically they send those to the families in need of meals, so that way they have a pot holder when they go to cook the meals, so they don't have to grab a towel and possibly burn the towel because it's big, and everything like that. So each of us made one, and those are the pictures of everything like that.
And next year, with a little more planning, Barry and I talked about, instead of doing the small service project, we want to do the one that takes like pretty much an entire day. But since it was our first time going with the kids from Madison, we chose to do the shorter one so they could experience more things while they were there.
Next slide. Next slide. Lastly, we would just like to thank our sponsors. They contributed in a huge way to us. This is any kind of monetary amount from $1 all the way to, I think, $1,000. And so these are just a few. I don't think I want to read them off. But anyways, they're up there. So next slide, please. Is that it? Awesome. You guys have any questions for us?
I had one question for the students. Sound what a rich experience and a fun experience. What can the schools, what can we do to grow the FFA program? Do you think? What are some things that would attract more students? When I was in Madison High School a long time ago, Blue Jackets were there were a lot of Blue Jackets worn, a lot more than now, I think. How do we get back to that, do you think? It sounds like you guys have started it. I think it's great to start it, but what can we do to continue to grow it?
Okay.
Put you on the spot.
This is a good question. So, our FFA, it's already grown since Ms. Kaufman's first started, and since the downfall of the last teacher leaving, it's been hard building this back up. And I think with the more trips we go on and the more interest, like, people are seeing that, like, it's just the interest. We have so many different varieties of people here in Madison and their interests. And if we had like more options of classes, I think that would help a whole lot more. Like, instead of having, like, my freshman year, we had animal science, which I appreciated. So instead of having to take the foundation class where I'm learning everything, I was able to focus on animals. And now that we have like welding 1, welding 2, we're able to focus on these different categories, or like introduction to plants. And you don't have to take foundation to get into the little category you want. So if I think we made the broader into more specific, like vet science, animal science, that we'd be able to learn, and it would like make more kids interested. And then also with all these classes come competitions. So like livestock judging, that we learned all of that from animal science. And there was this one time we competed in vet science, which we didn't really have no idea what we were doing, but we wanted to try it. And like, if we had a vet science class and that kids were interested in it, we're like, whoa, I can compete with this. And then I think it would bring more kids to want to be an FFA and to want to be more involved with what we're doing. Y'all have any suggestions?
Well, I'm going to put this out there. It would be awesome if we get back into animal science. And back into animal science and have the animal science class again, because I personally want to study to be a large animal vet surgeon, and I want to go to Virginia Tech and all that. And it'd be very helpful if I was able to have a veterinary program.
Yeah, I like what Isabella said about just like getting more like fine detail classes like into one part of agriculture instead of just like a bunch of broad classes. So.
And I mean, I think we talked in the CT meeting and know about the fee. The fee, I think it's $25. Is that right? Is that an impediment? I mean, are students not joining FFA and being active because of that? Do you think? It's kind of hard. I mean, I guess I'd rather talk to the teacher. I mean, is that an impediment to students being involved in FFA?
I would say for some of them, yes. Other ones, just, I think, I kind of had the same issue at like my first few years at Orange, where they were just kind of putting kids in the courses to fill a seat or kind of fill their schedule. I don't think we had that as much here. I think that either they have other obligations like sports, for example, and so they would rather be at the sports than kind of take their time and give it to us. So.
Do do sports conflict with FFA?
Yeah.
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 What, do it after, you should do it all after school?
So like right now, we don't have like a club meeting time. So like if we have to have meetings, you have to meet in the morning before school or after school. So we do officer, like tomorrow we have an officer meeting at 7:20 in the morning before school. That way we can get the athletes, because most of the people on the officer team are athletes.
And you have meetings right after school sometimes too.
We usually don't have very much luck with that because
Because of
they're all in
'Cause
sports.
they're all in
Because I mean, the school, most kids are in multiple sports here because of how small the school is, which is a good thing. They're being active and they're going out and joining things, which is a positive. And to go back on like the $25, I've seen like since the 3 years I've been here, if we had a student and it was a problem, guy always sent them my email and said like, you can personally email me and no one will know about this. And like I've paid for them out of my own pocket so that they could do it without any problem. And it's usually like maybe one kid a year, but we make sure if that's what they want to do, we get it paid. So.
Any questions? Thank y'all.
Thank you.
We appreciate you.
They said school board members were gone. Where are they? I'm going next year.
You're gonna get.
I should say that.
FFA rep.
Okay, our next agenda item is Wetzel Middle School's presentation on FCCLA and FBLA. So middle school, come on up. None of them want to talk.
Good evening. We're excited to present to you. I have 3 students from FCCLA and 3 students from FBLA. I can talk about this topic a lot, so I just limited myself to 1 slide. I feel like I'm there as the advisor to provide the opportunities to facilitate what's happening. I do a lot of managing, a lot of organizing, but they're really the ones that do the work. And to me, that's really exciting to see them rise to the challenge to build their leadership skills just day in and day out as they fulfill their responsibilities. I get excited too about how it integrates with the curriculum. I have had the privilege of representing Madison on a couple curriculum writing committees in the past year. And not only is it a unit, built into the curriculum, but we also try to go through when we're writing that and make sure that if a new teacher comes and looks at the curriculum, they say, oh, I'm teaching this class this year, what do I have to do? That there are national programs and there are competitive events that are already there as resources for them so that they can just get started right away. The next one is challenges, things that we've had to work around, and y'all just discussed some of those with FFA. The first one is interest. If students aren't aware of what the CTSO is, then they don't know what they're getting into. So I've had some charter chapters in the past, and it was just difficult to get it worked into the daily schedule as far as club time and that sort of thing. And then when students don't understand what they are being responsible for and getting involved in, you have a harder time drawing them, obviously. So I feel like what these students have been able to do with building momentum in the past year really has drawn students to want to become involved. So that's really exciting to see. So last year we did a lot of after school, both with our chapter meetings and our officer meetings. This year we're able to work it into club time, and so that's good. So time and energy is the other challenge there, on their part and mine.
As we said, they are often involved in sports, in bands, all sorts of things. So their time is limited as well. And then the last one there would be support, which is definitely not a challenge here in Madison. Every time I had a new idea, a new event, a new fundraiser, Ms. Saker and Ms. Wilson were totally willing to make that happen. They were very supportive, showed me the steps of what we needed to do next. Ms. Weaver, as our bookkeeper, keeping up with every dollar that comes in and goes out. We appreciate her support. And as you'll hear about the esports team, the tech team, we could not have done that without them. There is room for growth. I'm not sure about nationals, but we would like to at least get to states this year, especially with FBLA, as that seems doable. And then, if we are able to improve our recruiting and membership and have a larger membership, it's possible to have, let's say, all 7th and 8th graders enrolled in FBLA. And then that way, we get access to certain curriculums that they have that can really integrate with our 7th grade required career investigations course. So there's always room for growth. But they have done an amazing job in this last year and a quarter, and I'm excited for them to share with you about it.
Thank you. Take it away.
FBLA and FCCLA, Student and Technical Student Organizations in Action.
Fast facts. FCCLA is a student organization for family and consumer sciences education. It stands for Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America. FCCLA was founded in 1945. FCCLA has over 5,100 chapters.
Can we go back a slide, please? FBLA is a student organization for business students, and it stands for Future Business Leaders of America. It was founded in 1943 and has over 5,200 chapters.
The other one. Why join FCCLA? Well, FCCLA is integrated into family and consumer sciences education, exposing students to work-based learning as well as business and industry experiences. FCCLA engages students in industry awareness through competitive events and scholarship opportunities. FCCLA provides real-world skills, productivity and accountability, flexibility and adaptability, initiative and self-direction, leadership and responsibility. FCCLA helps you develop real-world skills that prepare you to be college and career ready. FCCLA is for any students, 6th or 7th graders that have taken FACS, Family Consumer Sciences.
FBLA is integrated into business, which includes our classes of career investigations and Make It Your Business. It provides opportunities for learning about businesses and how to start up your own business. FBLA can help you learn about careers and schools of higher education that could be right for you. It can help you find colleges, universities, or even trade schools that can help you in your desired profession. It is for any student who has taken or is taking a business class in the 7th or 8th grade.
Get back to children's development. Last year, both chapters and the FACS classes went to the primary school and performed the Glow Germ activity with pre-K and kindergarten students. It helps teach kids safety and sanitation and washing your hands. It helps us think about planning events and how to be patient with children and understand them.
(2024) so far. This year, FCCLA and FACS students participated in Jumpstart Read for the Record with the pre-K and kindergarten students. We will again travel to the primary school tomorrow to perform the hand washing lesson and activity.
FCCLA competitive event, Fall Challenge. This fall, FCCLA is offering challenge tests in partnership with GW Publisher. This allows us to demonstrate college and career readiness skills. Skills in FACS. Related occupations. They cover state and national FACS standards. When the opportunity was released, we had 7 FCCLA members. All 7, 5 7th graders and 2 6th graders plan to take a test this week. These are 30-minute, 50-question multiple choice tests. Example of areas we are taking tests in include nutrition and wellness for life, teaching, math for financial literacy, and hospitality services. Fundraising, donut sales, spirit gear, hometown holidays, and Otis Spunkmeyer cookies and concession stands. FCCL, this is the first picture is FCCLA selling donuts for funds. The second picture is of one of the students in family consumer science classes. And the third picture is a few of our members presenting on why you should join FBLA. FBLA Fall Conference, Germania Region, Fredericksburg. We met other FBLA members from many different schools. We did teamwork activities and scavenger hunts, which involved everyone. There was a loose change collection competition for Project Ask, a childhood cancer foundation. We donated the most and won a gift card for a pizza party.
FBLA Middle School competitive events. FBLA competitive events recognize and reward excellence in a broad range of business and career-related areas. They also prepare students for successful careers in business by providing opportunities to apply classroom concepts in a workforce-simulated competitive environment and receive feedback from business professionals. I received 5th place in the state for exploring economics, and this fine gentleman over here received 7th place in the state for FBLA concepts.
Nice.
The esports competition. The competition has 3 parts. The research paper, the 3 versus 3 tournament competition, and the presentation. Our team won the pilot competition last year, the National FBLA Esports Middle Level Champions. We have 2 teams. We have 2 teams preparing for competition this fall, and there will be another competition in the spring.
Dress to Impress scholarship. A student gets $300 for professional attire if they win, and they dress to impress for a scholarship. FBLA awards scholarships to 1 member per division per state. Our student, Serenity Ruffner, won this year. FBLA Gold Seal Chapter 2024. Top 15% of chapters in Virginia FBLA middle schools. The criteria for the Future Business Leaders of America Gold Seal Chapter Award of Merit includes paying state and national dues by the required date, participating in FBLA PBL programs and projects that align with the organization's goals, participating in state and national projects promoting FBLA PBL. Thank you for your time.
Congratulations. Do you guys have any questions? Yeah, you guys did a great
When do
job.
you all mostly meet? Do you meet during the day or after school?
We meet about every 2 weeks or so in club time. Yes,
Club
sir.
time
Every
during school
2
day.
weeks. Yes, sir. During school. Yes, sir. We meet then.
Congratulations.
Yeah, she tracks us down whenever she needs us coming into our classes and stuff.
They want a picture back there.
Does FBLA and FCCA go to high school, or is it over at 8th grade?
It does go to high school, but as far as I'm aware, we don't have chapters at our high school.
Okay. I was just curious. Thank you. Good job. Got too many tabs open. All right, our next agenda item is public comment. We welcome public comment from the public to address the school board. We ask that you come to the podium, state your name and the part of the county you live in, and keep your comments to 3 minutes. And there's a timer up there, right? I can't see. And keep your comments to 3 minutes, and we'll open the podium for the public. Would anybody like to address the board?
My name is Russell Biber. I'm from Brightwood, and it's good to be back. And I would like to say thank you to all the veterans, whether on the school board or in the audience, here or online. But thank you so much for your service to our country. I appreciate, as I talk to others around the country and see different things that I read, I'm very appreciative of our school board. And I want to say thank you to the entire school board, administration as well, and just so grateful for what you put into it, the stand that you take, though not always a popular one, but you go based on what you believe is right. And I want you to know I am truly appreciative of that. And once again, I would like to pray for our school board. Please pray with me. Father, thank you so much for these folks who do what they can to watch over the young people of our county. Father, thank you for the work that they put in, the time invested. And Father, I pray that our entire school system would be reminded that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge and the beginning of wisdom. I pray for safety for each student, for each teacher, each administrator, each staff member involved in our schools. I pray that it would be a good year. And Father, I pray that our young people would be the standard setters for a nation that needs you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you. Would anybody else like to address the board? Okey doke. Thank you, Pastor. Our next item is board comments. Anybody have any board comments?
Thanks, Pastor.
Ditto. Ditto. Happy Yes, very much so. Okey doke. Business information. These are items that are informational only. We will not vote on them tonight. Ms. Graham, would you like to present the 3 that are there?
Yes, ma'am. The first up is the student cell phone use draft policy, and we have Ms. Wilson here tonight. and then Dr. Jones, they were co-chairs of the cell phone policy committee. So they're going to kind of briefly walk you through this draft. Then you'll have time to look over it over the next month, and we need to vote by next month because it goes into effect January 1st.
Read all of this to you this evening, but to summarize it the best way. So the order does state that cell phones are to be off and away bell to bell. So we've designated within the draft for you all to see 7:45 to 3:15 p.m. would address the times that students arrive to school and then when they leave school. That we've designated two different areas, grades K through 5 and then 6 through 12. Biggest piece being if a parent does determine an elementary student needs to bring a cell phone or a personal electronic communication device, it has to be stored off and away for the day. Grades 6 through 12, same thing with any device that transmits communications as well, that those have to be off bell to bell school day. The change that's coming for the high school is the biggest change, which is where are those cell phones, where's that going to happen? And that was where we spent the most time actually talking. We had a wonderful committee. I do want to thank all the committee members. It was made up of parents, teachers, athletic director, students, school board members. So we had a nice group there of different, they went back and forth between all of those populations to get feedback. But the biggest change is with the high school, and we've determined that there are enough lockers for students, and so lockers, which is what we've been doing in the middle school, will now be what's utilized in the high school. So the student cell phones can be off and stored in those lockers. It's also the most cost-effective. Some different divisions are choosing other avenues, but this is most definitely the most cost-effective and makes the most sense. The policy must also address cell phones when traveling to and from school on school buses if students are using those. So we've addressed some very important things that, those phones may be used for grades 6 through 12 only, but of course, following these expectations that they're being used appropriately, and there's some details listed there below. If those things that has always been the case, if a student is using a cell phone in an inappropriate way like that, and unfortunately, if they do, there are consequences that can be given and that's a current practice. K through 5 violations and consequences. So we kind of broke this down too. So if a student is in violation of not having their phone stored off and away during the day in elementary school, first offense is the teacher's going to contact admin, a referral gets written, student's parent or guardian is notified, and then they need to come to the school and pick up the cell phone. Second offense is the exact same as you'll see in any time after. And there is a note that repeated violations of that policy could result in some other things. Some of those might be that they're asked, do not bring the cell phone back, and maybe asked it needs to be brought to the front office first thing and stored here all day, and then the student gets it back, something like that. But we can be creative with what needs to happen after that point. And then 6 through 12 consequences, teacher confiscates and asks admin to take that. A referral's written, student's parent or guardian is notified, and they have to come to school to pick it up. On the second offense and after, I think you might need to scroll down, please, or it goes on to the next page. Yep. So for secondary, those students have to turn in their cell phone on the second offense. So that is just stored up in the front office since they did not follow that correctly the first go-round. It is important that within this policy that we also address and we let the public know what to expect in emergency situations, to know how they communicate before and after school plans, like when it comes to sports. Our school athletic director is going to use one platform of an app that's going to go out to parents. So parents will be notified through this specific app. Students won't necessarily get that during the day, but we are going back to the good old school. It works. I attest to that. It works in the middle school. We use the PA system. send out an email, let teachers know. And then there's a phone in the front office at each school that is a student phone, so students can come use the phone anytime they need to make contact with home, but we would get that information out early if there's a cancellation or something like that. So making use of the office phones. There are allowable exemptions. Some of those things are under 504s and IEPs, if that is necessary for a student. Some of those things would be, of course, discussed and brought up if necessary for a particular student. That would go through a process. We did list a few definitions here, straight from the guidelines of what bell-to-bell means, what a personal electronic communication device actually is, what that stored in a way is. Next slide. I'm not sure if there's more to this.
That's it. That's it.
That's it. Yeah, so that's our overarching advice and gift for you to go through and see what you agree with. And
Yeah, so this is what the committee recommends, and so it's your first review at this point.
yeah, for feedback.
So we'll vote on it next time if we
Can I
have
ask a
any.
couple questions?
Yeah.
Thank you for all the good work on it. Thanks for all the committee for doing it. This is just something I'm trying to understand for sure. And the first page, it talks about a parent must notify the school in writing that their child needs to possess a cell phone during the school day. Is that different than the IE being written into the IEP? Is that
Yes.
That is different.
So what does that first one mean? And
Be-
what would the
the
rationale be for
previous-
approving that?
What's been happening at the elementary levels is there's no phone at school. So just to even have it, but it still has to be away, but to have it, they have to have permission, or they have to have it in writing from a parent.
Correct.
So we would allow in the K through 5.
That doesn't mean
we
they
would
have it
allow
on
the child
them.
to have it, but not 6 through 12.
So in either case, a student is allowed, according to the guidance that we've been given, they may bring it to school, including an elementary student, but it is not to be accessible in any case. Because we've been saying elementary students are not to bring cell phones to school, and they are technically allowed to, we'd want to know in writing which students are bringing them and for
I
what
see, I see,
reason,
okay.
so that we know that communication piece.
So it's even more, it's kind of more
It's
strict
kind of
than
more
the
of an
6 through
awareness,
12.
I guess, yeah, but
Okay.
still off and away, it would not be able to be accessed.
I understand, that makes good sense.
Mhm.
And then, I would just ask the committee to think about it. I think it's good. I would just, as I read it, I think it's obvious that if someone sees it, it'll be confiscated, right? I think that should be written a little more clearly, like it will be confiscated immediately by any staff member. Because I think it's obvious in what you read it, but I think that might be good to focus on so students really see that right away. And then the other thing I think is really good, I like a lot, it talks about if a second offense, they'll be required to turn their cell phone to the office each morning and retrieve it in the school day. Is that for the remainder of the school year on a second offense?
That we did not indicate within our draft to you all, the duration of that. I can tell you at the middle school, if we've had a process in place, and if I've had a student who has gotten there, it has been multiple infractions, and I may have said to a parent, it's best that we just keep it in the front office each day. That way they're not tempted to continue to break that rule. And once we're at that point, it has been for the remainder of the year. This is a little more stringent because it's second offense, which is a little different.
It might be good to highlight what that, so it's clear across the board, second offense will be the remainder of the semester, or the remainder of the year, whatever committee comes out, just because that's a significant step, and it's good, I think, but it's a significant step, and people are going to be pushing out limits for sure.
It is significant.
Positive. And I guess I think it looks like that's true for 6 through 12. It says required to turn the cell phone end of each day, but not sure if that's not on the K through 5. I guess
K through 5, the,
not going to happen probably.
probably, and the thing that's added on second offense is there's a required conference between the parent and the school administrator and possibly the student, depending on the age. So that's sort of the next thing, we're bringing everybody in to figure this out.
I guess just a question. my question is, I mean, and really to you and Ms. Taylor is, I mean, is this enforceable? I mean, we did this last year, and it was a big improvement, I think, but there were certainly cell phones out being used that I saw just on walkthroughs and stuff. And so, is this enforceable? Hard question. I mean,
Well, I mean, it's an executive order that we've been given, so it needs to be
at the
followed.
school level, I mean, of saying, I'm talking about teachers in the classroom. You know, I mean, how do we? Because there was still a rule last year that you weren't supposed to have it in this class, and
Yeah.
sometimes there were.
I mean, I can attest that I've got a staff that is completely on board, and I believe follows what the expectation is, so I can speak for Wetzel.
Okay. All right. That's awesome. It's really cheaper than the pouches. Culpeper School just went to buying pouches, I think $30 a piece.
Yeah.
So this is,
That cost replacement is what we're worried about.
yeah. Certainly
They're also not foolproof.
And I do want to say, for families, I do want parents, families, students to understand too that some of those communications about emergency situations and guidance about how do I reach my kid, our committee is going to have two different kind of like question and answer documents, like posters, that we're going to send out to families too, so that they have access. We can post that on some of our social media site, or our website itself, just kind of like a question and answer, like, how do I reach my child then if I'm concerned about this? And I think that's one of the greatest fears family has, is it's those emergency situations. And what if I need to get in touch with my kid? So we're going to have some documents to kind of put out as well.
In medical situations, so I know that there's, kids that have medical devices, and their families track that medical device through a cell phone.
Right.
And the cell phone has to be there. So I get that it needs to be written in the IEP or 504, but I want to make sure that that process is advertised as well, right? So families know that they need to do that.
Certainly.
And work with the team to make sure, that
Certainly.
medically they need access to. Not for it to be, abused.
Right.
But, medically, the phone needs to be, within a certain feet of a
Yeah.
certain distance.
And
of-
I'd say
and-
often,
And so I have experience with sugar diabetes, with
Yes.
diabetes,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And
That's one of the
so
biggest ones. Yep.
I just want to make sure that, that can be a scary moment for a family member that's getting the thing on their phone and the
Yep.
kid's crashing. So,
That's right.
just, yeah. I
And-
want to
and I
make sure
think-
that they have they know what the process is.
and I think we're fortunate now because a lot of times those medical needs run through our school nurses. And so that is the first thing that prompts the need for the 504 plan to allow for that. So any of our current students who have those needs do have a current 504 in place, and it allows them to have that cell phone. So often that's where we find that out.
Perfect.
Yeah. Any other questions at the moment? I do have one question. Mhm. I know we talked about the Sports U apps for extracurricular activities, and I don't know, like, I know in the wording of this, we have it saying that, like, we'll use a non-social media-based app. Do we want to actually, and I don't know that's necessarily a question for you or for us, but, like, do we want to name the app in the policies or just state that we will have the app? Because that ends up being a little.
I think your app could
change.
Yeah, I think the name of the app might be changeable, right? So it just depends on what application, they're using, but you could put, the division adopted communication app.
I mean, and
You know.
I think it's just like maybe even removing that one sentence of MCPS will use the Sports U app to communicate with parents and guardians. Oh, I see, because we wrote that in there.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So we just need to
And,
tweak that.
and Tim Tryon can certainly, through each sports season, through coaches and through those meetings that they have, announce what that app is going to be. Yep. Thanks for catching that. But that is going to be the app, from what I understand for right now, so.
But we wouldn't want the app to change, and then we have to go through this whole school board
Correct.
adoption
Right.
You're exactly
thing
right.
again, right?
Right.
Because then it takes 2 months.
Correct.
So,
Yep.
like, it could change, it could be Remind, it
That's
could
right.
be, whatever application that the division uses, so.
How are the students going to receive this? You ready for it?
Well, I think it was extremely important that we had some high school voices on the committee, and they did an excellent job of sharing some of those concerns and getting feedback from their classmates. And so I think there's been conversation happening around the high school, and there's a little bit of a understanding of what's coming. I'm sure there's apprehension. I know there's apprehension. So, you know, it's a big change for many schools. So we'll just go into it, give it our best shot.
Can I put you on the spot? Sure. We have our school board representative, our student representative, here. Do you know any chatter?
I know a lot of high school students are kind of nervous about the change just because it's never happened before. I know a lot of the seniors, because we've had so many changes just in the recent year, we've kind of been a little like on edge a little bit just because we're not sure what's coming. We're not sure how it's going to look, what we're going to look like, how our communication is going to look like, because a lot of our sports communication is through cell phone directly through our coaches. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, how is it going to look for athletes? And then, but I mean, overall, I do think there's kind of an understanding of what's coming, how it's going to look. I think we're kind of coming to a reasonable acceptance of it. So we'll just wait and see. I don't think it's going to be done either way. So I think it's going to just be one of those things we have to get used to.
I think your emails may be utilized a little bit more.
Okay.
Some of your communications will come through
Yeah.
email.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for letting us put you on
Yeah,
the
and
spot.
thanks again to the committee. I really
Thank you.
appreciate everyone's hard work, so thank you.
Thanks for sharing. Okay, Ms. Graham.
All right, next week, Dr. Jones and I are going to take you through a quick overview of the Department of Education's, Virginia Department of Education's new school performance and support framework. It's been created starting last October. The State Board of Education has been working on a different way to really make it more public how schools are doing and try to make it, I guess, more wholesome. It's not just going to be based on our SOL scores alone anymore. There's many different components, and it's depending on what level you're on, being elementary, middle, or high. So we're going to walk you through that, starting with the first page to let you know the different performance categories on how we're going to be ranked.
And you all already heard each school's plan for improvement in their data in the previous months. So we will share with you generally where the data falls on the chart for this year as we go through this. So the performance categories, you can see those on the slide. And we'll talk more on the next slides about how these points are earned. But a school that earns 90 points or above is considered distinguished. So meaning they exceed state expectations for growth, achievement, and readiness, and these are model schools. If your school is 80 to 89 points, they're considered to be on track. These schools meet expectations for growth, achievement, and readiness, and they still will have access to all the general state supports, and there may be also some support for student groups as needed. If a school has 65 to 79 points, they are considered or labeled off track. These schools are not meeting the expectations for growth, achievement, and readiness, and schools will receive additional support from VDOE, meaning we complete improvement plans. And then, well, not we, but those schools. We need, if we fall below 65 points, then we are considered, or those schools are considered needing intensive support. They're significantly not meeting state expectation for growth, achievement, and readiness, and they will receive more intensive support, Tier 3 from VDOE in the fall of 2025. Schools are also identified for federal support based on full school or student group performance. And so there's comprehensive support, which is full school support. There's additional targeted based on student group scores, and then also targeted support. And then schools that are identified with a targeted or additional target support and improvement support group, they do actually have their performance category lowered by 1 level. So if you're identified federally and you have 80 to 89 points, you automatically drop down to the next level or for wherever you are. So that's something to note. And then I think the bottom just kind of overviews the next slide. So we'll move into the elementary school.
So we're going to let you know how we would have performed if our last year's SOL scores were on this chart for this year. The state was not going to release this information. It was just going to be for our information to look at as a division, since it doesn't really go live until next year. But they did receive a FOIA at the Department of Ed, and so they've made a website that has all this information for all the school divisions. And I actually put that website, it was released on November 8th, and so I put that website on Board Docs, so it's right there. So you can go in, you can see all the resources they have for parents, resources for schools, and then all the data. What we're telling you now, you can see our data again, and for any school division, any school you want to look at. So, should you go through? Do you want to go through?
I can start. So at the elementary school, the first opportunity, 65% of the points earned are earned by mastery, meaning how students actually perform on the SOLs. So it's the reading SOL, the math SOL, and special education VAP test, science SOL and VAP test, and then progress by our English language learners that all contribute. At the elementary, the score or the points for this year was 46.15 total earned.
Out of 65 points.
Out of 65%. Out of 65% of the total. Then there's the growth, which is 25%. There is a program that calculates what students' expected growth is. And so using that program and their formulas and calculations, we, for this year, had earned 23.89% or points out of the 25%. And then readiness is 10%, and that is chronic absenteeism number. And we will be adding in a performance task, a 5 C's performance task, but this is currently being developed. So we don't have that at this time. But our elementary for last year's scores was 9.22 out of 10%. So the overall points for the elementary school was 79.2, which you see off track runs to 79. If we had had just 3 more tenths, we would have rounded up to on track, if that makes you feel any better. But that's where we were from last year's scores at the elementary. And I know that's a lot, so, you know, we'll answer any questions as we go.
And so for middle school, if you go to the next sheet, thank you. For middle school, it changes a bit. For mastery for the SOLs, they're then going to 60% instead of 65%. Growth is 20%, and then readiness is 20%. So they added a few categories. So for the middle school for last year, out of mastery of 60%, they earned 42.78. And then for growth, they earned 20.99 because some students actually grew more than they were expected to grow, so that gave them over 20%, so they were at 20.99. And then for readiness, with chronic absenteeism, and then it's the same for the middle school. The state is still working on how they will count those 7.5% points for the 5 C's. So once that's in there, but it's not in there right now, they're just waiting chronic absenteeism and advanced coursework. For our middle school, advanced coursework for middle schools, right now they're just looking at math. And it's for any student in 7th grade that scores pass advance on an SOL, the school is expected, in order to get these points, to put them in algebra for the next year. So that's how they are judging their advanced coursework, or a student that just passes, not pass advance, but that they put them in algebra. So it's looking at 8th grade algebra achievement. The middle school, out of 20%, last year, got 18.37%. So the middle school's total points was 81.1. So that puts them on track. 82.1. Okay. And then to the high school. And again, mastery is going down. More weight on the high school for graduation. So mastery for high school is at 50%, readiness for high school is 35%, and then graduation for the high school is 15%. So out of mastery for the high school, last year they got 39.16 of their points for the 50. For readiness, it's looking at chronic absenteeism, the 6-year extended graduation rate, so that's pulling in your students like with applied studies that take a little longer to get that certificate. And then the Ready for Life 3E framework is 25%. That's different for the high school. So out of that 35%, 25% of it is looking at what courses high school students are enrolled in. You get more points if they're enrolled in dual enrollment, AP, if they're earning their associate's degree. That's one category of that 35%. Another category is employment and like looking at their CTE classes. And for the CTE classes, they're different points depending on, is it a high wage, high earning job that they're taking? Is it just high wage job? It's just all the different categories within that category. And then the final category under that 25% within the 35% is enlistment, taking their score on the ASVAB. So out of that, just out of that framework alone, out of that 25%, within the 35%, that 25% Ready for Life, our high school, because our CTE program is so strong and so many of our kids take dual enrollment courses and AP courses, out of those 25% points, our high school actually got 25.19, so above, because kids can earn you points in multiple categories, and our kids do. They take dual enrollment classes, but they also take CTE courses, so they're getting both points for us. So out of that 35%, the high schools earned 32.03% points. And honestly, when it goes back before the Board of Education and they add in the workplace learning points, the high school, once that's part of it, but it can't be published yet because it's not approved by the state board yet, it's going to actually put our high school at 37.76 out of 35 points. So that's really good. But right now, it's just the 32.03. And then graduation rate, again, our graduation rate is excellent. So the high school earned 15.3 points out of the 15%. So the overall score for the high school is 86.5 points, which I must say is the highest score points for the surrounding area for a high school. Just say, looked them up.
Very good.
So that's how it's all going to be starting next school year. So the data we're earning now, like everything we're doing now, all that data will be live next year, and this will be our rankings. So for this year, we're still accredited, and one school is accredited with conditions, but next year is going to be accreditation plus the performance categories.
And do we have a plan yet for the 5C performance test?
We haven't heard, that the state will be telling us. It's
Oh,
not
okay,
our
it's
plan,
not
we're
out
waiting,
yet.
it's through the Department of
Gotcha.
Ed, yeah.
Being
So for
developed.
So if they do not get it finished, I guess they'll just stick with chronic absenteeism and the other stuff in that category, but for now.
You guys have any questions? I just kind of threw mine in there, sorry.
Let me go back to that graph. So, we're just at the off-track.
For the elementary school.
Just for one school.
We're on track, middle school, high school.
Correct.
And Waverly. I'm assuming Waverly's with elementary, or is it with?
That was actually the Waverly scores.
Okay, all right. So, I mean, it would be, I'm sure it's all of our expectations to be distinguished.
Mhm.
Do we
And-
have an idea of, since we have this to use as a way to score,
Mhm.
do we have some type of information on what we can use to get to that score?
Well, I think we're going to get there. Our reading program, we're working hard. We heard the school plans for the past 2 months. And so those are our plans to raise the score. Once the state board meets and puts in the other points for the high school would have actually been at 92.2. So we're there for the high school. And we're going to bring the other two along. And what they're doing at the middle school, when you look at their data with how they're encouraging kids to take the algebra and how many points they were scoring there, like we're doing great things for kids. You could hear from the numbers. We're above the percentages for so many things. We just got to bring everyone along on passing those tests. So, and we have a plan.
And in all, I mean, in all cases, it's the SOLs and other, like, achievement scores that's bringing our scores down. So,
Correct.
so all the stuff, all the focus that we're doing right now should attack that. I mean,
Right.
you know, focus on literacy and all those things. That's,
And I think the good thing to hear too, when we were going over that second category, that growth, like we're bringing kids along. Those numbers, like for elementary school, out of 25%, it was 23.89. For, and it's only elementary and middle that have growth. For the growth for the middle school, 20.99. So they're meeting within the formula that projects kids' growth. Like we're getting kids there. We just gotta get them the rest of the way.
and the accreditation is solely based on this, starting next year.
Starting
That's
next
it.
year.
Well, it's a lot of good work, and that's, I mean, it's really, I mean, you know, obviously, you don't want to be off track, but close to being distinguished in the high school, and then solidly on track in the middle school, and almost, I mean, we know that we need
We're on
to
the high
move.
side.
We know we
Know what we
need to
know.
move
We're
to the
getting there.
elementary school. It's good.
And then we do that federal identification for support for some of our gap groups. Like if you remember the red that they were showing you in their past presentations, that's bumps us down a category. It's the same data that's telling you you're on track. The same data will then, they'll tell us that we're off track because of the groups. So nothing's changing within there, but we might have that distinction on our schools. Even though our points will be there, they'll label us a level below because of that work. So, and we'll let you know. Any other questions with that?
That was really helpful, thank you.
Budget planning? It's that time of year again.
It's Crop's favorite time of year. So this is, you can go ahead to the next slide. So this is just the board meeting where we remind you of all the things to come in the next months ahead. But we're already getting started. Tomorrow, the Superintendent's Advisory Committee will get the budget spreadsheet. And the administrators already have the budget spreadsheet, so they'll work at the school level to put everything and anything they need on that budget spreadsheet. And then we have 3 of you going to the annual convention next week. And there, I already saw ahead, there's some sessions to go to if you want to talk budget already, you know, and get some ideas. And there'll be legislators there and people that you can talk to about what's to be expected for the upcoming budget. And then in December, we have our school board meeting. You'll brainstorm and let Ms. Kropp and I know kind of what you're looking for in the budget as we're starting to pull it together. And then we'll continue working with the staff. We don't meet with the teacher advisors in December. Instead, they're to use that time to work on the budget at the school level. Next slide. January has a lot. It's when Tina and I go to the VASBO annual winter conference, which is all about budget. Usually it's stressful budget things about how there's no money to go around. But we'll bring back that information to you all. We have an early board meeting on January 9th on that Thursday. Then on the 14th, the teacher advisory meets. We review their requests one last time before the next day. On that Wednesday, we have our budget work session where we go over with you all their requests, and at that point, your goals are aligned to what the requests are going to be for the budget. Then in February, we'll have the public hearing, and well, you'll see the draft budget, and we'll have the public hearing. Next slide. In March, either late February or early March, we usually have the meeting with the Board of Supervisors, the work session, and then we'll hopefully have the budget approved on March 10th. And then on the 11th, Tina sends it to the county. And then if we need a work session, we'll have that on the 19th. And then from there, your part's done. Off it goes to the Board of Supervisors. Next slide. And then we kind of listed for you so you know what's happening at the state level along with the budget. So the Board of Supervisors has until May 15th, or 30 days. So. Anything you would like to add to the budget timeline? That's it.
Thank you.
You're
I
welcome. Anything you wanted to say, Ms. Crop?
Okey doke. Reports, school board members, do you guys have anything to share? Mr. Shi, do you want to start?
Well, really all I have to share is we had our CTE meeting, Mrs. Taylor held, and it was very informative. I appreciate what the ag department is doing. They're getting a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes, and I'm looking forward to that a lot. Then we had our CIP meeting, and I mentioned this to Mrs. Graham. We talked about the track, and just for the public's information, there were 2 bids that came back to fix, repair, replace the track. One was over $200,000. The other one was almost $300,000. It's neither company seemed interested in resealing it, and Dr. Timmons said it's been done before, and once you've done it so many times, it gets to where it just doesn't last long enough to even be worth spending the money. So my question that I should have asked Dr. Timmons was, these 2 companies that are offering the redo or the replacement, what is the guaranteed lifespan of the replacement? And then what's the cost? What's that divide up over the years? Because if it costs $40,000 to reseal, I mean, it's asphalt track, but it's not for vehicles. It's for people with tennis shoes on. So it's not high impact. So anyway, that's something that if you get a chance to ask him, I'd appreciate it. And if not, I can get in touch with him too. Just want to see what their guarantee is. Will it last 15 years, 20 years? Just like to know that for sure. So we've got some technology issues also with phone systems, and Mr. Dotson's working through that. We're also working with the county, with Brian Gordon. There's issues with the phone system and the server that we have, and Verizon. Stuff's not being supported. Microsoft's not supporting this stuff like they used to. So we're going to get, if this thing fails at some point in time, it's like we can't go out and buy the stuff to fix it. It's months without the phone stuff. So a lot of stuff going on there too. There's also talk about school board office windows being replaced. There's just so much stuff going on. The press box roof, we had talked about that in the past. Okay, they were scheduled for last week. Something came up, but anyway, they rescheduled. We're supposed to start today. I haven't talked to Dr. Timmons, so I don't know if it started today or not, but it's in the works to get taken care of. So, and let's see. That's pretty much all the most important expensive stuff.
Was that track? That track was on the CIP long-term list, wasn't it? Was that a certain year for that?
I think we were looking at 25, 26. And right now, because of the ripple that's at the far side from the tree roots, it's not a bad ripple, but we don't want a student tripping and falling and getting hurt. So there's one track meet left. We're going to move that to another location, and it just needs to be fixed.
Before the spring season, sort of, probably.
Or, I don't know how many track meets we have here on a regular basis every year, but we may just, until we're prepared to drop that kind of money into it, we have our meets at another location.
I was at the CTE meeting. I won't go back over that. It's good. Thank you, Ms. Taylor, for that. Good CTE meeting. And then just the walkthrough. I want to thank Ms. Graham for the good walkthrough of all the schools. Really appreciate doing it all on one day. Much easier for us to get off from work on that one day. And I mean, there are always concerns and problems and stuff. But I just want to highlight all the good work. So much good work being done by administration and teachers at all our schools. I was really impressed by a couple things. Really, the focus on literacy, I think we all recognize that that's sort of was an issue in our scores, but it's very evident that there's real focus being placed on improvement in literacy, and so I really appreciate that throughout all the schools, and think that's really excellent focus. And then just from all those little schools, I mean, I've never seen so many children want to hug Mr. Coiner. So sweet how they love him, and it's very obvious how much affection there is, and I think it's really a symbol of sort of the goodness of the primary school and the teachers, and there's really nice, really lovely cultural sense, good positive culture there that the teachers and he and the administration has built. I think it's really very evident when you walk in. At Waverly Owl, I mean, really appreciate it's a beautiful building, and I mean the county and has dropped the money, and it's a beautiful building, and they keep it up so nicely and well. And the decorations were sweet and good, and it's just very sweet and good to see. Middle school, same sort of thing. I mean, caring for the building, and I was struck by a lot of good things there, but just in particular, it was so sweet. I was with watching the special ed teachers. Loving the students, and I mean, I should know the name of the special ed leader. Yes, I mean, fantastic. And then just watching Tom Butterworth and Jeanette Alexander hugging and helping a student, and really beautiful to see. I think it was on every day there, so it's really nice to see. And then high school, really appreciate the partnerships that we saw and that are going on all the time. I mean, just for example, the art program is painting the baseball school dugouts, which we know the baseball team needs, and needs a beautification, and it's going to make it much nicer. And so that kind of partnership saves money, good experience for the students, beautifies the field. Ag program with football field looked great. You know, for those who didn't go Friday night, it's fantastic. It's a really vastly improved, I think, experience for Friday night football, and a lot of that is the partnerships with the high school, the tourism folks, and the business community. All those partnerships are really good. So, just wanted to recognize and note all the good work that's taking place in the county, and thank everybody for their hard work.
Good. Awesome. Thank you. I went to the prep board meeting, and Ms. Graham and I went to the prep board meeting. They had good meeting. The overall problem that they're trying to solve is space. So they're looking for some space. We hope we will have some space answers in a little bit. So prep Ivy Creek, the school that prep runs is called Ivy Creek, and Ivy Creek is going to have to vacate their current space. So that was sort of the talk of the town, the talk of the board meeting, and so we are hoping for some good news in the next month to 6 weeks, because time is ticking. Same sentiments on the walkthrough. Thank you. Had a great day. It was lovely to be in Madison for a whole day, and it really does the schedule well for me. So that was good. So thank you all. I won't go into details because most of them are the same. He stole my thunder, but anyway, it's all good. Loved the one day. That was awesome. And let's see, what else did I do? I think that's about it. That's all I have. Oh, technology meeting. Oh my gosh. Oh, how did I forget that? Oh my gosh. Yes, I had to remind myself what lane I needed to be in. So, We had a good technology meeting, like a lot of things that Mr. Sheed shared. There's lots of things that are old in the technology department and in the infrastructure world here in Madison. And so there's some problems to be solved. Not sure how that is all going to happen, but the numbers are in the deficit if we want to come up to speed. So we need to think on that and think creatively on that. Yeah, there's some challenges for sure. But good technology meeting. We didn't get through the whole agenda because I think I talked too much. But you guys saw most of it. I mean, Donald did a great job at bringing the information, and we got into some problem-solving conversation, so we didn't get to the last little bit of the agenda, but we meet again after the holidays. So I look forward to helping problem solve that and help with that effort. That's about it. Did I steal your thunder? I'm sorry.
This way, like, I got you to talk about all the things, and I don't really have much else to report, right? Again, like, I'm going to repeat the sentiment. Thanks to all the schools for having us. This is really cool. For anybody that's not here and anybody that doesn't know, I know we've got some really cool, like, things still going on in the community over the next couple months as we prepare for the holidays and things like that. I know that all the schools had some pretty fabulous Veterans Day like events today, and I do thank the administration and all those that have served, because like that's just awesome. But so thank you to our administration for putting on that, and that's all I got to say.
I forgot one thing. The Thanksgiving thing. When is that? I meant to say it. The 21st of November. There's a Harvest Thanksgiving dinner, right? Here at the high school. Donations only. So, yes, and the students have organized this. So that's really cool, and everybody in Madison needs to come. Even if you don't get food. If you run out, you need to still come and just say thank you for doing it. So, yep. Thank you. I almost forgot about the Thanksgiving thing. Yeah. And we have our student board member here. What would you like to tell us?
I just want to thank everybody for letting me have this opportunity. I work at the primary school for a good portion of my day at the high school. I'm so thankful to have teachers and staff members to help accept me and welcome me into their classrooms to help them. It's really something that I really enjoy, so I really appreciate that. And the community and everything that goes wrong and around in the schools. So I just wanted to thank you guys for that.
Can you introduce yourself?
Oh, I'm Riley Gordon. I'm a senior at the high school. I sent a whole bunch of videos out. There's probably one circulating. And then Ms. Taylor introduced me a couple weeks ago.
Awesome. Welcome, Riley.
Thank
We're glad
you.
you're here. Your voice is important, so make sure you bring, and your fellow classmates' voice is important, so make sure you bring whatever you need to bring to us, okay?
And
Are you going to the VSBA?
I am not. I
Student?
can't.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's just a
Wish I
good
could've.
thing.
And I just want to say, we were when we did the walkthrough, you were there teaching the students, and they were hanging on your every word as you taught them to help read and stuff. It really was. It was really wonderful to see. So good work. And it's a great program, both for you, the high schoolers, and the primary school. So it was really good to see. Good work.
All right, Ms. Graham?
Very fast. I was just going to thank you for coming to the walkthrough, and when Mr. Martz is here next time, we can plan the spring date. So we had a tentative date, but we'll let him look at it and maybe compare to his work breaks and see if we can't find a time in April
Does he
where
have
he
the
could
same
come as
spring
well.
break we do?
They don't, so
Oh,
that's what I'm
good.
hoping we
That's
can
good.
propose, that he maybe come during his spring break. So we'll see. We'll bring it up next time.
Awesome.
That's all.
That's it. All right, motion to adjourn? We have a motion. Need a second?
I'll
And everybody's in favor? Aye. Thank you all for being here. It is free.